the art of worship. If we're a person of faith, then we know we're under obligation to worship the God that loves us so much. And depending on our tradition, we worship God in different ways. Whether we worship Him in a church, in a synagogue, in a mosque, or some other place, we know that we have to take time out to go aside to be with God in some space that is sacred. And many times, what we fail to do is to realize that the heart of our worship should be in the temple of our soul, because that's where God resides. God resides in His Spirit, in you and me, and He wants to be there with us at all times. And sometimes what happens in our religious beliefs is, yes, we are taught to worship, but sometimes we don't know how to worship. Oh, yes, we go to church or mosque or synagogue and we read our Torah or our Bibles and whatever. And what we do is we put in the time and we read the words, but we don't get in touch. Because worship is something that has to be internalized. Worship has to be something that becomes real. And that means that you have to get to know the God that wants to be with you so desperately. And you do that by opening up your soul to Him. And that means you have to become a person of prayer, a person of reflection, and a person of mindfulness. And in order to do that, you have to learn to focus on that relationship which is uniquely yours with the God that loves you. And you only do that by giving Him time. And you have to let that relationship with Him grow by being open to Him. And if you're not willing to be open and listen to what He has to say to you, that relationship will never grow. So listen to what God has to say to you in the quiet and the stillness of your heart. And when you do, you will learn that this is the best kind of worship that you could ever give back to Him, because then you will be relating to Him as a child relating to a loving Father. And you will have the enkindlation of the Spirit, who will give you all the graces and blessings that you need in order to keep that relationship fresh and growing. And worship comes down to saying, "Oh God, I put you first in all my life. And I want you to be the essence of my life. And that I will offer my day to you and everything that I do during my day as an act of love and thanks. And I give it all back to you. And I ask that you mold me and form me and melt me into the image that you wanted me to be from the beginning of my creation. Oh, yes, I've fallen, I've failed, I've made mistakes, and I've sinned. And for all these things, I'm sorry, and I want to become better. I want you to be number one in my life. And even though I'm frail and I don't always do what you want me to do, you are always there to forgive me. You are always there, very merciful to me. And you are always there to wrap your arms around me and hold me when I am seemingly going in the wrong direction. Yes, worship comes down to having a one-to-one relationship to the God that loves you. And your life will only be as good as you worship your God. Worship means adoration, praise, glorification, and thanksgiving. It's up to you to learn how to worship.